This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Jamey Giddens.
And I'm Cara, Guinn. Today we're here with an outgoing 98 senior, Kerry Bubien. She's getting her degree in broadcast journalism. Kerry, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all?
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas, and I came to SAU fall of '93. So I guess it's time for me to move on and start my career and get on with my life. I came here to play tennis, and I ended up finding other things to do and decided not to play. So I don't know how I found it. I guess they found me more or less. And I thought, well, I have never been to Arkansas. I didn't know anyone, and I figured, it was close enough to home, but not, close enough but not too far away. So I decided to come here and pursue my little college, life.
What was it like coming from a big city like Houston to here in small town Magnolia?
I had a lot of adjusting to do, not only, I guess for myself, I had to adjust, the way I was, and also, what do I want to say? It was just hard. It was hard altogether is what I'm trying to say. The people are very different. You have small town mentality, and I'm not used to that, and I'm still not used to that. You cannot go to the bathroom without someone else knowing about it, and if you didn't go, then sometimes, you went anyway. So I had a lot of adjusting, and now I can honestly say that I've learned, just to deal with it and just to, blow things off.
What were your first impressions of the university when you came?
I liked it. I can honestly say there's been a lot of changes for the good since '93. Even in this department, from the library, from the people, from the programs, everything has changed. So, but I love it here, and I love the people, and I guess I can consider it my second home, so I'm gonna miss it, but it's ready for, I'm ready to move on. So.
What are some of the things you've been involved in on campus here?
Well, when I first came, I guess, some people say you're a leader, some people say you're a follower. Well, I guess I wanted to be the leader, and I wanted to lead the crowd. When I moved on campus, and I lived in the residence halls, and I was president of Herod Hall. That was an experience. And from there, it just escalated. I would hear about sororities, and I'd hear about, other organizations, and I thought, I think I'm just going to try and get into everything that I can, and see, what everything's about. From there, I became a resident assistant and learned a lot about other students coming in. I was in the freshman dorm, or residence hall, I should say. That's not the proper word to use. So I was, looked upon as a mother and a teacher and a friend. And I can honestly say, as far as they went, my girls on my wing, I did an okay job. They always came back to me. What was hard was watching some of them graduate before I did, because I brought them up and I felt like almost their mother, and a lot of them have already graduated and moved on, but I guess I just took my time. But getting on back to my activities from there, I joined a sorority and did every office that I possibly could, and I learned a lot throughout my years of, being involved in Greek life, not just only in Alpha Sigma Alpha, but I was involved with Inter-Greek Council, which is over all the sororities and fraternities on SAU's campus, and then I was involved with Panhellenic, which is over all the white sororities, but I just got into everything I possibly could.
I know the RA job was an on-campus job. What other on-campus jobs have you held?
To be honest with you, I did the RA job, and my other job was I was a department in the communications department, theater, mass comm department. I was a secretary. So I did that for a while, but I was only getting, a few hours here, a few hours there, and, I had fun, doing that, answering phones and all that stuff. So other than that, that's really all the on-campus jobs I was really qualified to have. Because I think students that have, if you have work study, or I did learn this, and to any other student that's coming here, that's thinking about coming here, or even going to school, period, if you have work study, you can work. I didn't have work study, I was regular. So they're paying me, out of their funds, and there's not a whole lot of regular work out there. So, my RA job was probably my first, and I'd say the most I dealt with, on campus.
What made you decide to choose broadcasting as your field?
I was wandering around. I was wandering around 2 years with no direction, taking classes here and taking classes there, and I didn't know what my point was of being on campus. And I remember when I thought I was growing up, and I'll never forget that day. One day I just decided, okay, well, I'm going to take some mass comm classes. And I love to talk. Anyone that knows me knows I'll talk to a stranger. It doesn't matter. But then I decided, well, maybe, I can talk in front of any group of people. Doesn't matter, pink, purple, black, white, anyone. So I just decided, well, I'm just going to try this media thing. And I did, and that's how I found my niche in broadcast. So, and I did an internship this past summer with KTBS, Channel 3. And I learned a lot, and I thought, this is really neat. Because it's not this department, you're not sitting down. You could sit down at your job, but what I want to do does not involve sitting down, and my job will be, and hopefully I will be on the go. And that's the type of person I am. I don't like to sit at a desk, and I don't like numbers. Anyone that knows me knows that. So I just found my niche and went with it.
With the internship, how did that go? Did you really enjoy it?
Yeah, I was, I'll never forget, I always went dressed up and just ready to go, and there was other interns there that were from, LSU and bigger schools, and here I am from SAU, which, I'm proud of my school, but it was, you just learn that in this type of field, it is a matter of who you know. And I worked with a girl that was from LSU, and her father knew the president, blah, blah, blah. So she got her foot in the door. And when she was a T-shirt and jeans kind of gal, and I would, drive to Shreveport, and I did it for a month. And I'd dress up, and, I was on the road, just, had to look perfect, and, was bouncing around there. And I just remember learning that, yeah, you see pretty faces on TV, but that's not the that's not the apple of the media or a TV station. You've got photographers, you've got reporters, and when they dropped me off at the courthouse, downtown Shreveport, and gave me a cell phone and said, Kerry, this is your chance to show us, whether you're if you're meant for this or not, you're going to be sitting in this city council meeting, and I don't know anyone from Shreveport and who's on this, and there's about 3 stories that over one, just one meeting, there was 3 stories involved, or 2 stories. So I had to get it down, every bit of information, from who said what to why they said it, and I had this older man, I'll never forget this, sitting next to me, passing me notes back and forth saying, do you believe this blah, 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 blah? And I was like, I'm trying to write down my notes, I'm trying to get this all correct. So it was neat, and when I was done, I was just like sweating. When I came out of there, it was really hot. It was during the summer, and I was wearing this real risque skirt, and they had a slit up there, so everyone was wondering, who am I? Because I was sitting at the media table. And they thought I was working for the Times, the newspaper. And I was like, no, I'm with KTBS. I felt proud, to say that. And they just, I called them when I was done, and I was just sweating, thinking, oh gosh, I hope I have this right, because all the other channels were there. And I'm thinking, I can't let my channel down, I'm the intern, I may be a peon, but let me tell you, I got to get this right. So when I went back, I had like probably 15 minutes to type in everything I knew, and Gary Hines said, Kerry, I hope you have all this right. And I was like, oh, okay. So I typed it all in, and he said, you did good. And that was all he had to say, and it just made my day and made my intern. I thought, okay, I'm capable of doing this. Put the pressure on, I'll give you a story.
So now that you've had such a positive experience with KTBS, do you think you want to go back there and work?
I still keep in contact with some of them. Hunter Britton, who graduated from SAU and was a broadcast major. I talked to him, and I do talk to I was good friends with one of the main and head photographer, Tony Abram. I talked to him and keep in contact with him. So, I sent them, a Christmas card, or, I still haven't done it yet, but I need to. But, you got to keep in contact with them, and don't ever let anyone leave room to forget about you. Make yourself known. Don't be, afraid to go out after it and act like you just want, you're there for a purpose. But I might pursue it, but not right now. I'm just not ready.
How does it feel being a guest now as opposed to being the host on a show?
It's hard. Well, when, I received a phone call asking if I would do this, I thought, this is, so weird that normally I'm in that chair instead of, this chair. But I love the camera, and I love, talking to people. So, it didn't bother me, but I just thought, okay, well, I'm the guest now, so there's no limit whether I talk as long as I want or not. So it's neat, though, being in this position. To be on y'all's side, I'd rather be there, to be honest with you, than be over here. Maybe I'll get famous and, jump over to this side and be on 2020 with Barbara Walters.
So what are some of your most memorable experiences as a student host?
My KTBS came to SAU for a community forum, and they brought their big Earthlink truck, and Kelly Fry, she's just a year older than I am, 24. When they came down and I got to interview her and Gary Hines, that was a real honor. And it's neat. I can look back, because I've recorded all my interviews that I've done. And that was so neat to sit there and think, this girl is just a year older than me, and she is, look at what, she's incredible. She's great. She really is. She's upbeat, and even in person, she's no different on camera than she is on camera and off camera. Same person. And that you'll come across when you go behind the scenes. Some people, just like everyday people, okay, do you have two personalities or do you have one? Are you the same person on as you are off, or, do you have to act differently according to who you're around? And I'm just a down-to-earth type of person, I think, and she was like that, and that's my most memorable interview I've ever done. It was neat, really neat.
Well, for the people who don't know, talk about your major just a little, and your minor. I understand your major is broadcast and your minor is print.
My minor's print. I wish I would have done something in the print aspect, working for the Bray. I never really got a chance to do that. So I've got a lot of learning as far as that goes. And the way I am, I will try everything and anything. So if I could maybe, try print or go into print, or maybe not pursue, but see if I like it. Just like, I've tried the TV side of broadcast journalism, but there's also a radio side. So maybe I would like to do that. In my radio classes throughout my college career, Cara, me and you have done some doozy of some shows. So I love, they can't see you, but they can hear your personality. So that, to me, that'd be neat. Did I answer your question? Okay.
So overall, do you think your education and experiences here at SAU have prepared you for the real world?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You make yourself as prepared as you want to be prepared. If you're going to be a student and just sit back and not go after what you want, then that's what you're going to get out of your college life. If you go after what you want and set goals and say, I'm going to do this before I graduate, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, you can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to. And I mean, that goes with anything. You got to have a positive attitude throughout your, and I did learn that too. I'm not a real negative person. I don't like negative people, so.
While you've been at SAU, are there any teachers or faculty that have been influential to you that you'll carry on with you from here on?
I do have to say, my very first college professor I hope he watches this, Mr. Whitehead. That is, and he's in this department and he's retired, but I know he still comes around. That was my speech class. Speech class was my first class, and I guess it was a sign or something. That and him, he was I'll never forget him. And there's others all through, my department, Mr. Reppert and Mr. Marvin and, Jane Becknell. She's in the English department, and I could go on and on. Who has just inspired me just a tad, or a little. And my Spanish teacher, Mrs. Picorni, she really has, been an inspiration to me, and she's a real go-getter. So I see that in her, and I still talk to her, and even though it was a tough class, but I got through it.
Now that you're graduating, have you been interviewing a lot for positions?
No, speaking of interviews, really when I graduate, I'm going to go home, and that's in Houston, and I want to pursue a career. It's always been my lifetime dream to be a flight attendant. And I guess what I see in that is when I'm a flight attendant and I'm flying in Chicago or wherever, I'm going to meet someone or meet a connection or I'm going to meet someone that's going to be my connection into my next job. That's my goal, is to be a flight attendant, fly around the world, see it, and meet people that will, my next stage of my life, that will inspire me, now. So, I'm done the college thing. It's time to move on and see what I can get into next. So.
In retrospect, what do you feel that you've gained from your SAU experience in it, besides just a degree?
Oh, Cara, everything, I guess. Your lifelong friends are going to be your college friends. You move away from your high school, and it's like you go home or whatever, you keep in contact with them. They don't know you. You grow up with your college buddies, and I've just met so many people that I will keep in contact with. Whether I call them a year from now, hopefully they won't forget me, and it's just, your friends are, I've just learned a lot through my friends.
Back to your dream of being a flight attendant, what training will you have to go through, or have you already been through some training?
No, there was an interview today with Continental, and I called. I knew this interview was coming up for Continental, but I just figured, well, I'm going to go home for Christmas, and I'm going to enjoy my holidays and relax, because I've been going to school since '93, and it's just time for me to just relax and do nothing, and then I will pursue that. I think my parents are just overjoyed that I made it this far. So, they knew I would, but it was just, a little, well, when's it coming? Because you always said you were getting out, but, Kerry, let's move along. So, anyways, now that I'm done, like I said, I missed the interview today, and say I went. It takes a while for you to get accepted. We'll say I got accepted today, and they said, Kerry, come back, get ready, we're sending you to Cleveland. I'd have to pack my bags and go. And I just wasn't ready for, I want the job and I'm ready for it, but to go from straight out of college to, to that, I just don't want them to say, well, Kerry, like I said, we're sending you off. And I'm not ready for that, because from there it's like 6 weeks training. From there it's 6 months to a year that you're going to be flying in and out, and I'm engaged, and it's hard planning for, your future along with someone else's, but we have to, there's got to be a compromise involved. So it's difficult.
Well, with your engagement, do y'all set a date, or are you just?
Excuse me. No, I haven't. And one of the reasons why is because let me back up. I want a 4th of July wedding really bad, because that way all my friends will be off and I don't know where I'll be. That's one of my plans. Another plan I have, you always got to have 2 plans. Always remember that, A or B. And my B plan is to either go to the Cayman Islands and get married. I'd love that, because that way I can just take him and whoever else wants to come. If, say, I am a flight attendant, then I'll just put you on my list, and get you a flight or something, and you can fly out there, and hopefully all expenses paid. So that's plan B. But until I graduated, I was not looking at anything. My goal is to graduate, and then from there, I'll plan from there. And so I just haven't set a date. I just, I don't want to stick around. I'd like to stick around, but it's time to move on, and from there I'll plan the next thing. One step at a time, I guess you could say.
So how are you coping with having to leave behind all your friends and sorority sisters?
It's hard, but they're your sisters for life. You'll always keep in contact with them, and it doesn't matter where I go, I may run into one of them. I mean, out of Alpha Sig, there's, God knows how many I should know, but there's chapters all over the United States. So if I have my little letters on, I always have a sister, or say I see someone with their letters on, and I know I've met a lot of girls while I was in college. I got to go to Tampa, Florida. So I met a lot of sisters in the north, and so I got a little directory, so I can just pull that out and call them up and say, hey, I'm in town, or I was in Alpha Sig and at SAU and or in Magnolia, Arkansas, and I know that you're one up in da-da-da, and so it's hard to leave them behind, but I'll always keep in contact with them somehow. I'm gonna be one of those alumni that send money. So they better not forget me.
Well, now that you've experienced both sides of the fence, small town and big city, which one do you think you'll end up living in?
Probably big city. I'm a fast-paced kind of gal, and when I go places, I don't want to know everyone. I want to be able to sit down and get to know you and find out, well, what are you all about? Or where do you come from? And what have you learned? And my favorite question when I go home, I don't care where I am, whether it's at a bar or at a restaurant, well, what do you do? How did you end up here? Because I like to move around and talk to everyone, and you learn from people by talking to people. So that's gonna, I don't know. I'm looking forward to that again. Not going places and knowing everyone. Well, hey, so and so, how are you? Going to Walmart and hey, that's my neighbor. And I know her. She went out with so and so. I want to go through Walmart, and it's so dang big that no one's going to know me. It's going to be nice. Unless I become a TV anchor, the next Barbara Walters, and, then I don't have to go to Kmart or Walmart. I'll go to Nemus, or Macy's or, something like that. So we'll see. Neiman Marcus is what I was trying to say.
If you do make it to be as big as Barbara Walters, what will be your take on the whole public perception of the media following like the Princess Diana case? I mean, how far do you think a reporter should go to get a story?
Hey, there's always a fine line. There's, I look at it from, both sides. If it's your job, go after it. If it's going to be a good story, you better go after it. This could mean, making you move up. Yeah, you may trample on someone's feelings, but people have to separate. This is her career, and that's where I've learned. I'm out. Yeah, I want to make a difference in someone's lives or a lot of people's lives, but the media is always going to be there. And if you are that involved and you're just like the Clinton case going on, he's our president. Leave him alone. He's human. No, I didn't vote for him, but I shouldn't even say that. I didn't vote, period. but he's our president, you know, and he should be a role model, but he's human. I'm human.
Definitely.
This is my living, this is my job, and I'm, you know, I may be reporting the news one day, and I may be Kerry Bubien on the street. So.
Well, we appreciate you coming, and we thank you for joining us. And for SAU, I'm Cara, Guinn.
And I'm Jamey Giddens.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.